What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Real Estate Virgins podcast, where we are aiming to motivate, encourage, and inform realtors to be the best version of themselves.
Amplify your business.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is our first episode 2023, baby.
Woo!
All those excuses, I'm going to do it next year or after the holidays, that's done with now. So we are diving right into it. My name is Jordan Brown. I'm a realtor and investor here in the Austin area. I'm here with my co-host, John Michael Perez.
Yellow.
And this is actually a very special episode because we have our first ever 3-person podcast, which is we have a special guest, Mr. Ben Love.
What's up, world? It's a threesome.
Starting off hot.
I guess that goes with the name of the.
Yeah. A lot of innuendos going on right here. Kidding. Well, we're so excited to have Ben. Ben has been, a really crucial part of John Michael's, start to his career. I have met Ben from y'all's connection. And when you talk about like surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded and have the same kind of mentality and like giving, like Impact Property Group's real big on giving back. And I know that resonates with Ben as well. So welcome to the podcast, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm super excited, man. Talk about whatever we're talking about.
Absolutely. What happened to the leg?
I was going to bring that up. Yeah. What happened to your leg?
Well, John is a basketball. So I thought.
And I was going like this.
Let me go out there. Yeah. And it was a basketball injury. And I shook this guy out of his shoes. And next thing you know, I went up for a dunk. Mind you, I'm like 5'7", 270. Went up for a dunk, came down, just too much weight.
Oh, no. Ooh, that's a bummer. Besides, when did that happen?
It actually happened but way back in October, and definitely did not happen that way. I just literally pushed off, like to go driving towards the basket, pulled a Kobe, went down. Yeah.
Hey, so not to get into business too quick, but has it affected your business at all?
No, actually, it's pretty funny because one of my most watched videos has been me on my knee scooter. And I was just cruising around, stopping in an open house, and just started to film that. And yeah,
it's amazing like what you can turn into a video. And like you said, it's one of your most viewed. So that's pretty cool. That's like awesome. Not letting the circumstance like stop you from performing, which is really cool.
I remember when that happened to me, I had a bunch of clients that wanted to look at houses, and I showed up with a knee scooter, and they were like, man, this dude is dedicated.
Nothing's going to stop this guy.
Well, that's funny because I went to a listing appointment with my knee scooter, and it was a 2-story home. So to make matters worse,
show me around the house, and then you look up,
and you're like, okay. And
Ben gets on the little lift that's like,
only if they had that, I would definitely, but literally got on my hands and knees and crawled up the stairs. Embarrassing, yet at the same time, I was like, dude, I am dedicated.
Yeah.
I'm doing what it takes. And then on the way back down, like got on my butt and had to like slide back down the stairs.
They didn't help you? Did they make an offer on this house?
No, this was a listing.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
They're like, you're gonna earn this.
If they pick another agent to list their house, man,
that's funny. Well, how was everyone's Christmas?
Mine was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you stay local or do you go somewhere?
I stay local. I mean, spend it with family. We got a grandson. And so just watching him and getting that enjoyment, I think was really, really the best part.
That's awesome.
Mine, we went to Santa's Wonderland in College Station, and super cool. It's really awesome.
I pass that place going to Huntsville all the time, and it looks super cool.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it's lit up and during Christmas time or around that time. It's really cool.
We need something like that in Leander.
I was just talking to a neighbor. I had finished one of my workouts this morning.
Nice.
And I noticed injuries must be going around because he hurt a tendon or something in his leg. Mm-hmm. And so he was hobbling around. I was talking to him, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, Leander needs, or like the cities north of Austin need more companies that attract business to those areas. There's a lot of opportunities to go do things outside of those areas. Like, oh, we'll go to Austin to do XYZ.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's not like any big companies like I don't know, like if you had Tesla open up somewhere, even then he's like, well, those are lower paying jobs. Like those are,
We don't have enough entertainment. I know we talked about that in another episode, but we don't have enough entertainment in the Leander area.
Yeah, we just need stuff that attracts business to our area instead of the residents there having to take their money to other surrounding cities.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, not to get off track there. But yeah, Christmas was good. I'm happy that the roadways have somewhat returned to normal. I don't know about you, Ben, but whenever Christmas comes around, it's like everyone after Halloween, everyone forgets how to drive. It's like 10 miles per hour under the speed limit all the time, no blinkers. And so I'm glad that there's been a little bit of, sanity restored to Austin area drivers.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you started, your background, a little bit.
All right. Let me start off with to get the audience to hate me. I'm one of those Californians.
Okay.
So born and raised in California, moved to South Texas. And when I say South Texas, talking Harlingen, Texas, in 2002. And that's where I had a degree in computer science, but there was no technology or anything like that. And they offered me an AC tech job for $7.25.
Okay.
And I was just like, what am I doing? And
you got a degree.
Got a degree.
And they offered you a $7.25 an hour.
And that was good pay.
Yeah, they were like, it was going to be $5, but that degree got you $7.25.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah. And so you'd be working outside, there's benefits to that. The humidity is only at 137%. And at like 6 a.m., it was already like 90 degrees down there. So for 6 months, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And finally told my wife at the time, hey, you know what? We're going back to California. And she was like, I'm not going. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. And she goes, you can go if you want, but I'm not leaving. And so I said, okay, fine. If we're going to stay here, we're going to buy a house. And I went to a new home build. And from there, I sat down, and this was back in the days when they actually spent a lot of time with you, pre-qualifying you. And so we spent 3 hours with this one guy. And at the very end, he goes, man, you got a great personality. Have you ever thought of selling homes? And I was just like, no, but I'm down to. And he goes, well, I'm the sales manager here. Go ahead, fill out an application. And then when you fill it out, we'll talk. Went home, filled it out. We talked the next day, and that's how I got into real estate.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So from the purchase of your own home, you were like, I could do this.
Yeah, it was right up my alley. I mean, I love to talk. I love to meet people. And so I was just like, okay, great. And so down there, homes were selling in 2002, 60,000, 70,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're just like, wow, this is crazy. And I think from there, that's where we started to, or at least I started to develop how to like really get deep with people, because I would end up spending 2-3 hours with them. And again, understand that that was just a whole different market. Like two income families were bringing in like $1,800 a month. And of that $1,800, $450 of that was going to like rent-a-wheels. And so I was just like, what is going on here? And
so you were working during the recession or no?
This was prior to the recession.
Okay.
So this was the heyday, right?
Oh, okay.
This is when they were just giving houses to anybody. And because of that, I was able to get into it. But yeah, so it was in the heydays. And this was one of my biggest accomplishments is, I would sit down and like, I would let people honestly know, like, look, I don't think you're ready to make this move. Can we get you in a house? Yes. Would you be able to afford it and everything else? There might be some stuff that's left to be desired. So I turned a lot of people away, and they literally would go to my my co-sales partner, and he would just write them up. And so it's sad because I would see some of these people then get their house foreclosed on. And so that's my one thing that I'm really, really proud of. I've been in real estate now for, this going into my 21st year. And I've only had one family ever have their house foreclosed on.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great lesson for those of you who are listening. Like, don't think of this, your responsibility is to your clients. It's not for your pocketbook. Would it be easy to say, yeah, absolutely, get in a house right now, it's going to be great. Like, and push them into a situation that's not going to benefit them, or it's going to put them in a compromising position. So that's awesome that, you were able to say, look, you're not ready.
Yeah.
You need to, either increase your pay or you need to like decrease your debts to really be in a more comfortable position.
Yeah. Especially back then, because they were just giving loans out to everybody.
Yeah. How did your clients take that kind of conversation? Did they like respect that honesty, or was it like, oh, like that's insulting? Like how'd they take that?
I believe they went more towards the insulting approach, right? Like, man, how dare you tell me what I can do? Again, when we allow pride to get in our way, right? Like, again, there's a scripture that says pride comes before destruction, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm very aware of that. And when people are like, well, you can't tell me what I can and what I can't do. Look, you're absolutely right. I can't tell you what you can and what you can't. But what I want to do is give you the information so that you can make the best decision for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And then what you do with that is your choice.
Right. 100%. It's not me pushing you to do something.
Correct.
It's here's my opinion on this. You do what you want with that.
Yeah. And I think that was one of my biggest struggles, because we would go to like our team meetings at the builders, right? And they'd be like, you got to create urgency. And, it's here's these lines. Tell them that there's like 4 people already looking and get them to sign today. And I'm just like,
wow.
It's hard to work in an environment when you're not aligned with the thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question. So you went from being an AC tech to working for this company, correct? The housing company?
No, I never accepted the AC
Oh, okay.
tech.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So would you say that the skill of, you talked about really being able to get to understand your clients and like be able to have that really deep conversation and empathy with them? Is that something that you developed over time? Is that something that was just like an intangible? Like, did you have that right off the rip? What did that look like?
I think that really came from my mom. Growing up, single mother, I was the youngest of 3. And I just watched my mom do incredible stuff, right? Like, I mean, we had zero money, right? Like, we were the ones getting the boxes of cheese and the bread and all of that. But yet, I would see my mom do, like, she took in a homeless person one day when it was raining outside and gave him a dry place, let him shower, give him food and meals. She was the type of person that would, if somebody asked her to borrow $5 and she didn't have it, she would borrow $5 to give it.
Wow.
And so that's just kind of just the way I grew up, and she probably had the biggest impact on me.
That's so aligned with who you are, because you lead with your heart, and sometimes sometimes it may look like it's not the best thing, but over a long period of time, it's always good to lead with your heart, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And sometimes I look at it like, I wish I could just put the business numbers behind this in my thought process. But again, my heart just leads to the forefront.
Yeah. I remember one time, I think I was actually on your team at that time. I had a client who was buying a condo, and there was a plumbing issue that came up during the inspection. And the plumber came up or called me, and he was like, hey, there's 2 ways we can do this. 1, we can do an easy fix, which is super cheap, or 2, we can really get in there, fix it the right way, but it's going to be sort of expensive. And for me, like, my $7,500 commission was on the line, and I could have just told the client, hey, yeah, we're just going to get a real quick, easy fix. But what happened is I said, hey, man, and that thing is like, I had bills to pay. And if I didn't close that deal, I was going to have to figure out how I can pay my bills. Right. But what ended up happening was I told him, and we figured out a solution. Insurance paid for it. And now that guy's a lifetime client. He sent me so many referrals because, well, he doesn't even know that. He doesn't know that I told him that the plumbing issue could have been an easy fix, but it would have just broken in the 2 years. So yeah.
And what you were talking about earlier, like the people in the environment that you hang yourself around with, right? Like how important that is in who you are and developing your own character and developing your own tribe. Again, it's those type of things when you only see right in front of you, okay, hey, this is what I can get, versus the bigger vision of, man, my goal is just to serve people. That's it, right? Like if I just serve people without any expectations, man, like the path will be there for you.
Oh, 100%. I love that.
Yeah, and there's more than one way to win. Like there's people that are winning really good that maybe don't do things the most ethically. And that's not the kind of people I want to be around. Yep. So it's like, man, you got to really pick and choose like who you decide to let into your life and have influence over you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's like when I have conversations with new agents, there's 3 things that I always ask them. First one is, who are you? Right? You'd be surprised at how many people just get like this dumbfounded look on their face.
Like they've never been asked that, and like they haven't had to think about what they stand for and things like that.
Yeah, right. And so, or they give you like, oh, well, I'm a realtor, or I'm a dad, or I'm this. But who are you deep down into your core? What are your characters? What are your values? All of that, right? Because you have to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, then you're going to take whatever somebody tells you to do, and they're going to create what they want you to be. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Ben.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Well, Jonathan Perez. Jonathan. First and foremost, I am a child of God. That's where my faith. That's where I lead with. I'm a husband. I'm a grandfather. I'm a dad. I'm a business owner. I'm somebody who works within my ethics. Being morally correct is a big thing to me. You know, doing the right thing, putting other people's needs ahead of my own, right? Like those are the things that I respond to. I'm an emotional person. I don't have that cold piece. And then if you know me, I'm also a competitor.
Yeah, you'd never want to play basketball against this guy. Never.
I never have, because basketball is not really my thing. But
he turns into a different person.
Yeah,
it's not this guy.
No, it is not.
he's like I love everybody. Everyone's like, we're all just in this together. And then
Basketball
on the court, he's like,
hand.
get out of my way. I'm about to dunk on you.
That's where that inner sports competitiveness takes off. And I remember we were playing a game one day, me and another friend, and it was John and another John that we knew. And we were playing 2-on-2, and we smoked them the first game. So you had John Bonacci on your team, right?
James or John?
I can't remember. Oh, you had James probably.
Was it James?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah. So me and John Bonacci were playing John Perez and James, and we smoked them. And I was on fire. I couldn't miss from 3 points.
Good.
And I'm yapping, and we call them chirp chips, right? Because I'm just chirping away. Da, 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 da. Well, John and James, they come back. They win another game, and then we're in the championship game. John and James win that game. And I'm not sure, but I'm going to just say there's probably video out there of John Perez with a video talking so much crap.
This guy,
he has the camera in my face and he's like, yeah, we smoked you. We beat you. Take that. Yeah, da, 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 da. Oh, man, I'll never forget that moment.
Because I remember we used to play basketball sort of often, and you'd always beat me, so I had to get it on tape.
That was like years of pent up celebration right there. Yeah. That's great. But you know what? It's kind of cool that that duality of your personality probably is what helps you be such a great realtor.
Yes, I agree.
Because I feel like you have to find this really nice balance between those two. You are there to serve your clients first, but the competitor in you is sitting there going, I got to do my best as well, because there's other people out there, either who can take this business from me, or if I don't service them at a really high level, I'm going to lose this client, or I'm not going to accomplish what their goals are for them.
That was fire.
Boom. Fire. So it's kind of interesting that you also said, so you said you've been in the business for about 21 years now. Kind of describe how things were back then versus what you see now. Like what are some of the major changes that you've seen in the industry?
Yeah, so I started with the new home builders in 2002 and started to kind of see the market shift, right? And so what I said was, I better get my license because I need to sell more than just in a community. And this was 2007, great time, right? Like everybody, hey, 2007. So I got my license, and I remember going with a small brokerage for a couple of months, and then it just wasn't working, right? And so then I went to my current company where I'm at, and that's when I just started to learn that the people that you keep with are so vital to your growth. They're going to either help you get there much faster, or they're going to actually drag you down. So 2007 through 2010, there were just personal things and professional things, different type of market, right? Like,
were you going through like a period of growth during that time or no? I mean, you're always going through a period of growth, but
yeah, you're always growing, but I don't think that, like, I didn't have a growth mindset at that point. I was still just kind of just, hey, I could sell ice to an Eskimo. So kind of living in that area. And I just remember, like, it was so difficult because properties were so cheap, but yet nobody still could afford them.
interest rates were higher, or?
Interest rates at that time were at like 7.25.
Okay. A little higher than we are now.
A little bit higher than, exactly where we are right now. But it was so funny because, again, usually when something is far left and they're trying to make the correct adjustments, they never get it to the right spot. They always go to the far right. And so they overcorrected on the market. And so they made it so tough for people to get a loan.
How did you survive during that time?
Man, I honestly really don't know. So, I mean, I was probably getting a couple sales a year.
Wow.
Which were probably limiting maybe 25 to 35,000 a year. Luckily, though, I was in a county where we were the second lowest income. And so that you could survive on that.
Was that down in South Texas?
Yeah, in Harlingen, Texas. And then in 2010, I came up to Austin, and I came for an education thing. It was called Quantum Leap. And I remember walking away from that and them saying, take your phone, put it away, and go for a weekend and just put yourself at the funeral. And what do you want people to say about you? And when I did that, I took that weekend, and then I figured out, man, I'm not going to be able to achieve my dreams of what I want to become here in Harlingen. And the next week I was up here in Austin.
Wow.
And you've been here ever since?
Been here ever since. Yeah, but it wasn't easy. It was not easy.
Can we talk about that? Because I know a little bit about that story.
Sure. Yeah, so I remember we were up here in Austin, and I had a 1998 Dodge Intrepid with like faded paint on the top, and the front right wheel would I don't know however you describe it.
Bob, like a
but
I guess trimmer a little bit.
It was big, more than a little bit though, right? It was,
I hear you coming down the block.
Pretty much, like you get over 45 and that wheel would start just wobbling, right? Like it was at the dance club and it was drunk. It was just like wobble, 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 wobble.
Why is this wheel grinding on me right now?
For real, right? And I think I had maybe like $150, $200 to my name. And I had met some girl up here, and so I was staying with her. Long story short, we get till October. We have a big old fight. She kicks me out. I'm now homeless in this 1998 Dodge Intrepid, faded car. I'm at an office where there's nothing but Audis and BMWs and Lexuses. And I remember it being a Monday, and I was just like, I got a quarter tank of gas, $50 to my name, a car, a back seat full of my clothes, and I have a puppy, right? And so I go across the street. I'm driving around in Austin actually that night. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh crap, I don't got no money. I don't got no gas. And at that point, that's where I'm at that fork in the road. I can give my mom a call and say, Mom, I'm coming home. And she'll be like, okay, mijo, come on. I got a spot for you. Or I could say, you know what? This is what God has intended me to do. And I'm just going to stick this out and trust. Long story short, I ended up sleeping in the car. Luckily, the office that I was working at had a shower. I'd get up at like 4:35, get to the office, take a shower, hope that nobody would get there that early. But little to I didn't know, but that was creating this habit in me of waking up early. And so to this day, I still wake up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning just to get my day started.
So from homeless.
Wow. And everything that you do, you can find good habits, right? Just depends on, like you say, how you look at things, right? I could have just said, oh my gosh, this is not going to work. I'm homeless and look at me and feel sorry for myself. Or I could say, okay, what do I got to do?
There's so many agents that start their career and they're not seeing traction and they're broke and they have $50 in their bank account, but unfortunately they decide to give up and go back to that retail job or go back to, the easy route. But if you can just keep going like you did and make the hard decision, somebody said recently, like the longer you can sacrifice, the bigger the results later,
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
And I think what happens is we're in this HGTV era where people see $1 million.
I've said this exact
$1 million that, right? I mean, Jordan, right? Like it's nothing like that.
No, it's, John put it a really good way is whenever we were talking about this and it's like everyone sees HGTV where within 30 minutes they are introduced to the client and by the end they have their dream home. Everyone's happy. Commission's paid. Woohoo. Everyone's stoked, right? So then they're like, I hate my 9-to-5 job. This guy looks like he's doing nothing and getting paid all this money and he's, showing luxury homes or this and that. I'm going to do that. Then they get in it and they are hit with that realization that it is actually one of the most entrepreneurial things you can go through because there is no handbook. There is no guidance. There is no, I say that like, you can have a team that, or someone like a coach that's going to walk you through like maybe some things that you need to do, but there's no one holding your hand. There's no training wheels. It's, you were thrown into the fire and you were going to learn so much about your entrepreneurial self than they probably ever anticipated. And I know right now I got an email and I don't know what these numbers are. I don't know if this is factual or not, but there's an estimate that we are going to see a 30% drop off in realtors in the Austin area. So just from ABOR, they anticipate about a 30% drop off this year, which is pretty crazy. I'm sure there's people listening who are like, I am on the fringe right now. I am, I don't know if I'm going to continue doing real estate or not. But man, when you think about it, your dues, right? If you can pay let's just call it $500 to buy yourself another quarter. Imagine if you dedicated yourself every single day to doing real estate generating activities and circling your sphere, making new contacts, how that would revolutionize your business to where you wouldn't have to think this way.
Yeah. I mean, look forward to the next 90 days. If you can go all in 90 days, give yourself 90 days to maybe put a list together of 100 people and to reach out to 100 new people every day. If you do that for 90 days, you will get a deal.
You're going to change the trajectory of your mindset right now. Like you're going to change where your real estate career is leading you right now.
Yeah. So do you have any tips or tricks for a newer agent that is struggling to find deals?
First and foremost is the people that you know and love, right? I mean, those people want to see you succeed. And again, I want to make sure that you guys understand you're not that special. You're not that special. You can't tell them one time and say, okay, great. I now got my license. Use me. I'm ready. Right? Like, this is a big deal for a lot of people. And again, I think for me, it's always that first call that is separating the personal Ben from the professional Ben. Like, because again, people know you before you got your real estate license.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, you're a clown. You're always joking and having a lot of fun. But when it comes to business side of things, that's where you get to see the serious side of me, right? Like, okay, great. I'm going to research the market. Okay, I'm going to know the school districts for you. I'm going to know the value of the resale values over the last 5 years in this community, right? And so when you start to understand all of that, that's where that's where the money's going to come in, because people are going to be like, wow, okay. Yeah. I want to help you. I want to see you succeed.
So what would you say to the agent that is competing against experienced agents for a listing appointment? How can they outdo or do a better job to secure that listing appointment?
First and foremost, it's all about confidence, right? Like, know what you're doing, right? And yeah, hey, you may not have the experience that these bigger agents have and everything, but what you do have is the most key component to any real estate thing. You have the ability to have that one-on-one relationship and give 100% to your client.
Ooh, I love that. And also, sometimes it's not about what you tell them at the listing appointment. It's about how you made them feel during that listing appointment, right?
Yeah.
And so one really cool tip is to offer, hey, let's go preview your competition right now, right?
Oh, that's good.
Let's go out to the houses and see how much they cost, what they look like, and then now we can go back to the house and discuss that. And then when you get back to the house, there's food delivered.
That's
dang.
But what that is experience, right? Like, again, we're here to provide an experience for people to understand. I think too many times we get caught up in, we see the system and, you got to do it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, right? Just love on the people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just love on the people.
If you're very like robotic and you don't have that genuine ability to make genuine connections, like, they're going to see that and they're going to feel it. Like, going to what you said, they're going to feel that. A personal story about like the confidence thing. So last year I got my biggest listing that I've ever gotten, and I was a little I was feeling overwhelmed and pressured because it was going to be a big, my biggest listing to date. And so I was like, why would this person go with me? Like, I haven't sold anything like this. And you can be in your own head and come up with every reason why someone shouldn't work with you. And you got to ignore that. I got to go in and go, I can focus on what their goals are. I can make a plan just like everyone else. And I actually won that listing against two other agents who were more experienced than me, because I went in, I listened to them, asked what their goals were, I showed how I could help, and I also brought a prepared printed CMA with a full breakdown of what my plan was for this property. And she said I was the only one that showed up ready to compete to win that listing.
Ooh.
So if you can do that, and again, your confidence can come from a place of you work for a team that's done XYZ, or I had a similar listing on this street or over here that I did XYZ for, and this was the result. So
yeah, I mean, if you've never done any deals and you go into a listing appointment and they ask you how many deals have you done, you can go back, look at the statistics of what your brokerage has done and say, yeah, we've actually sold 10 houses in this neighborhood, right? You don't have to say mine, but the thing is like, if you care more than every other agent, they're going to feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what you said though, Jordan, was so key and so vital to every relationship. And you said it so like nonchalant. Like, I want to make sure that you, as people listening to this, don't let that pass. Your key word that you said there is I went in there and listened. Like, that is it. Like, just listen to the people. Most people just want to be heard, right? And when you're able to listen to what people are what their concerns are, then that's when you can address them and make sure that you have a plan to how to overcome that. But I think in today's society, we're so quick to push our thoughts and everything that we tend to cut people off. And so we never finish out listening. And that can help in relationships too, y'all.
Well, that goes into my next question is, Ben, you're such a great communicator. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to communicate better?
I mean, I'll just say this. It's really all about listening. The more that you listen, the more information you're going to receive from people. And in communication, I think what happens is I want you to imagine if you had a rope between you and the person, right? And if I wanted to move that person and I pushed on my rope, would that person move? No, right? Because it would probably just have some slack between me and the person. But now if that same rope, I started to pull them towards me, would that person move?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so understand this, that when we just continue to spew information on people, that's us pushing information on them. And so how do we expect to draw close to them, right? We're just pushing our information. But how do we pull them and get information out of them? By asking questions.
Asking quality questions and then listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, because one thing to understand, every agent that goes in there is going to basically have the same outline. Like, so when you think about it, it's, here's what I think you could sell for. Here's your competition. Here's like what I anticipate we'll do to get your house right. So aside from that, like, those are like the basic questions or things that you're going to review. What else are you doing? And so listening is such a big part. Like, ask questions about what is your goal with selling this property? And not only do you gain that trust and you get the direct info from them, you're also uncovering other opportunities. Do they need to sell and use the funds from this house to buy another one? Did you just uncover another potential business opportunity just by asking a question?
Yeah. Paulie C used to always say, what is it? The quality of your questions gives you the quantity of your results or something like that. And it was like, man, the quality of your questions. I love that.
That hits.
Yeah. It's funny though. There's a great book out there. It's called Getting Naked by Patrick Lencioni. And
great author.
I love that guy. Changed my world in the way that I approach my clients, right? Like the concept of the book was, there was a tiny consulting firm and a bigger corporate firm bought them out. The problem is that the tiny consulting firm was outproducing the bigger company. And so they sent somebody to go see what they were doing. Bottom line of it was this. The giant companies, they went in there with their set plans and said, here's how we're going to help your company. Here's what you're going to pay us. And this is what we're going to do. The tiny firm didn't go in. They were prepared, but they didn't say, this is what we're going to do. They went in and listened to what the person's concerns were. And they said, yeah, okay, great. Look, I know you can do this. And then would give them what they needed to do. And then said, okay, we'll be back in a week and we'll continue this conversation. After that week, the people were like, okay, hey, great. I see this actually works. I want to hire you. And then they would actually give them more for their consultations, right? And so I think that in real estate, again, that's where a lot of people get overwhelmed. They've especially in the beginning, because you feel like you have to be the expert. They're like, oh, I got to know this and I have to know that. And I got to go in there. And when somebody asks me a question, they go into this long conversation about all these things because they want to prove how much they know.
They want to justify. Yeah, look at, like, I'm proving to you I'm the expert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, when I first started, quick backstory, when I first got into real estate, I met Ben's wife, and we were at Champions Real Estate School, and she introduced me to Ben, and then Ben and I worked together for a few years. But one thing that I really worked on was confidence. I had zero confidence. I remember being so scared to ask the right questions and just not believing in myself. And that was a big period of growth for me, was how do I believe in myself more? And so when I went into one really cool mindset shift was, how do I get more confident? So what I would do is I would start thinking about how much I care for these people, right? Like, I'm going to care a lot. I'm going to care more than the next agent. And also, yeah, I used a lot of the tips and tricks that Ben gave me. Was like, hey, ask really good questions, but also come from a mindset of how can I care more, you know?
Yeah. You know, you bring up a great point though, John, because like, yeah, when we first got together, yeah, you probably, like you said, you didn't have that lack self-confidence.
I didn't.
Where it's funny because from my perception, all I seen was like, oh my gosh, this dude's going to kill this industry. He's going to go in there and just, like accomplish whatever he wants to accomplish. And here we are, you're doing amazing things in the community, right? Again, goes back to the very first sentence that you opened up with, who you're surrounding yourself with. And now I love this because I'm sitting here with John. Jordan's sitting here with John. You know, I had the opportunity to pour into John. John now is having the opportunity to pour into Jordan. You already see in Jordan's heart his desire to serve and who he's going to be pouring into. And that's the great thing is we talk about legacies, but the legacy is just, again, sharing everything that we have. Not worried. I'm not worried about John or Jordan being my competition. Why? Because there's enough business for us to go out there and do everything and have the lives that we wanted. All I care about for me is serving my clients to the highest level possible.
I remember one time there was a lead that came in for our team, and I think it was actually one of your leads, and it was a lease lead. And
the California people. Yeah.
Probably. And so I took them out, and I was like, man, I'd love to have this lead. And Ben was like, you know what? Go ahead, take it. And that really meant a lot to me because, like, I was like, wow, he's helping me out. Like, he didn't really get anything from it. And that just comes from your heart of like, you know what? I want to see this guy succeed, right? And like, instead of competing against me when we were working together, just that little small act of kindness helped me do that 1,000 times. Because of what you did for me at that time.
There's so many things that John has, like, when he does something and I'm like, dang, where'd you learn that? He's like, Ben taught me that. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, just like you were saying, like, you know, you poured into John, like John was able to pour into me. It's like, it's like a continuous chain of giving and like just love and respect and like just wanting to see everybody win. And like you said, there's so much business out there that like, you don't have to come from a mindset of scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, and that's the thing is like when we go back home and we go hang out with the people we used to hang out with, they're still thinking the same way that we were thinking back in high school, you know? And it's so crazy to me that I see this growth that with all the friends that we hang out with now, all the leaders that we hang out with now, and then we go back and hang out with the people that we used to hang out with, and they're still at the same place that they were, you know? And not that that's a bad thing. It's just that what I've seen so much is that mindset of scarcity. Oh, I want for myself. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to share this because that's going to help him succeed. And what's crazy is like we here in Austin, like all the people that I surround myself with, is we share so much and we win together.
That's key, right? Like, again, it's not like we're holding back this information saying, haha, I'm the best of our friends growing up in high school, right? No, like, same thing. We go out there, we give information to these guys. We're trying to show them success. It's up to them. And I think this is something that I discovered is that I can't change everybody. Matter of fact, I can't change nobody. All I can do is just share information with people. And if they want to take hold and grab that opportunity, then awesome. Let's grow together. If not, I still love you. I'll still come around every now and then, but just understand that I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to provide for my grandson. I'm trying to go out there and share the love of God to people and stuff like that. And
so does that go into your goals of 2023? What do you want to do for 2023?
For me, look, my bigger goal is I want to turn over $1 million company to my grandson. That's my goal. He's going to be 4 this month, and when I was in prayer, that's what was given to me, and I want to turn it over to him when he's 13. Like,
wow,
that's it. That's the big goal. Now the little goals in between there to help me get there, they're going to come. Right. Right now, I just want to run a business that, again, is serving clients. That's it.
Yeah.
And if I do that, then in 9 years, I can easily say, here you go, Jace. Take this company and run. Go be a world changer.
That's
awesome. I love that. I'd love to dive into like some of the specifics of your business. Like, do you have a favorite like go-to client cultivation activity? Like, or do you like, some people love door knocking. Some people like cold calling. Some people just work their sphere. Like, what's your go-to move?
My people who know me and love me, my database. But even more specifically, there is a section that's called the VIPs, right? Like, that's a much smaller group. And the qualifications to get into that group are pretty simple. You have to have done 2 or more deals with me or have given me referrals, right? And that's...
Does that sound familiar, Jordan?
It does a little bit.
Right? And those are the people that I'm going to spend money on. Why? Because those are the people who are already proven to me that, hey, I love you and I will go ahead and give you referrals. And I know when the time comes that you'll be my person.
Yeah.
And so
I think I probably got that idea from you then. I had to have. I think we called them ambassadors, right? Like ambassadors for our business, right?
That's it, right? I mean, they're raving fans.
Yep.
Right? Like, I know when somebody around their circle says, hey, I have this or this, I have a real estate need, that they're going to be like, oh man, you need to talk to Ben, right? I don't have to push nothing on them, but I want to honor them because they've honored me.
And that's why I love using that strategy, is because, like, for me, I remember when we used to jump on the phones and cold call, it just like was not me. It was, I'm not going to lie, it was not me. And I tried, I did, but something was telling me like, man, this is not for me. But the crazy thing is that, yes, that's quick money, but the way that you built your business, that I and Jordan have built our businesses, is like, yes, it takes longer, but the business gets even bigger because we're building actual real relationships.
Yeah. It's a lot more solid. I look at it as like the cold calling, you got to consistently call. You got to consistently burn energy to get people's trust. And that's great. And I just can't smooth talk somebody. I don't want to tell them what they want to hear. Right.
But,
and it's funny though, because a lot of times those people want somebody who's just going to tickle their ear, for lack of a better term. Right. Oh yeah, I could sell your house for $700,000 when their house is worth $550,000, right? Like, people will come in and say, "Yeah, I'll sell it for $700,000." I just can't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So
got a couple of those. Got a couple that think, a couple of people that think their property is still in, peak market, pricing, and it's not.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to wrap it up here soon. But is there anything that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
All I can say is whether you're looking at Leander, Cedar Park, honestly, the truth is you can't go wrong with any of us. But when it comes to real estate, right? Like, again, make sure that you are talking with people, right? Your business that you're offering them is a gift to that person. And if that person doesn't realize that and you're not feeling like you're getting the service, it's okay to go and find that person.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We're going to have to wrap it up. But if you liked this episode
of Real Estate Virgins,
please comment, subscribe, and leave a review.
Most importantly, leave a review.
Leave a review. Jordan, do you have anything else?
No, I'd really appreciate your time, Ben. Thanks for coming. This was an awesome, like, just packed interview with so much value. Like I said, I just really appreciate like your servant's heart because I see it through John, and it's no coincidence that he got that from you. And, just go be great, love on your clients, love on your sphere. There's so much opportunity out there. Don't give up, persevere, all that good stuff, man. There's truth to it. That's why we say it. And that's why we're talking about it today.
Love it. All right. See you guys. Bye.